Welcome back to my crochet basic series, Basic Stitches. This is video number 2 where I show you the different places that you can put your crochet stitch. Now we're going to go over the front loop only stitch, back loop only stitch, working a stitch between stitches, and also ending with working around a chain or into a chain space. These are all questions that have come up. If you are here for a specific one of these that you want to quickly dive to, I do have timestamps in the bottom, so if you need a quick reference, hop down there to the description section or comment section below this video. Find exactly what you're looking for a quick reference. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive right into the first one, which is working a front loop only stitch. All right, let's talk front loop only. Now, whenever we say front loop only, that is more regarding where we are putting the stitch and not necessarily the stitch itself. So we can use any one of the basic stitches, the single crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, any one of those basic stitches we can use with a front loop only because it's just where we are placing that stitch. Normally, when we are working a stitch, we will place our crochet hook into the stitch space in the front of the work. So this space, this space, this space. However, what you may not notice is when you place your crochet hook into that stitch space, if you were to look on the top of your crochet hook, you would see a V stitch on top of your crochet hook because you are underneath both loops, that full V. All right, right there. Okay. However, I, in this situation, only want to work the front loop only. So looking at the stitch I want to work in, keep rotating till I see that beautiful V stitch right there on the top. Take my crochet hook, insert it into that V stitch, and only go underneath the front loop. And the front loop is going to be the loop that is closest to your body, to you. So here we go again. This is the stitch I want to work in. Rotate so I can see that V stitch. And the first one is harder to see. I'll work other ones to show you. The V stitch, take my crochet hook into the V, and then just go underneath the front loop only. Yarn over, pull the yarn through that loop, have 2 loops on our crochet hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops, and that is a single crochet in the front loop only. Let's do that again. So next stitch, look at the top for the V, take crochet hook into the middle of the V, only go underneath the front loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do that one more time. Sorry. Next stitch, look at the top, middle of the V, front loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now it is also common, depending on what way you're using this stitch, that you may want to pull the front loop only from the outside in. So for example, this is the next stitch space. Look at the V stitches on the top. So there is the V. Take the claw of my crochet hook and go from the front inward and only pick up that front loop only, leaving behind that back loop, and then working the stitch this way. So next stitch, take the claw, grab, and if you want to look, find your V. Make sure you're only picking up the front loop only. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now, this is the 2 different ways it'll come out. These 2 right here, I made making the front loop only from the inside outward. And the second 2 I made working the front loop only from the outside inward. So really it depends, working this placement of the front loop only, how it will work. If you want to work inside or outside, just picking up that one loop. They're a little different, not too crazy different, but in both situations, we are only picking up that front loop only. And when we look at the back, let me do one more. I'll show you what happens when we work just a front loop only stitch. So chain one, turn the work, and what we see here is a pronounced line of the left behind back loops that were not grabbed in the stitch. Now, for an example of what this would look like in a swatch form, really more rows of this over and over and over, just working a single crochet front loop only. This is what that would look like as an example. And if you are working a diagram, this is what the symbol would be for a single crochet front loop only. It has that hook look to it. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to what a back loop only would look like. Okay, so working a back loop only stitch, again, you can make a back loop only stitch using any one of the basic stitches, because back loop only is more so where we are placing that stitch and not necessarily manipulating the stitch itself. So when it comes to the back loop only, again, we are going to look at the V stitches on top of the stitches, going to insert our crochet hook inside the V, and then only go under the back loop, leaving the front loop alone. So only going underneath that back loop, yarn over, pull the yarn through that loop, then yarn over, pull through. Now again, in this case, I'm just working single crochet stitches, but you can work this with any one of those basic stitches. Next stitch space, find the top V, take crochet hook, insert into the middle of the V, back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. In this case, we don't often see people grabbing a back loop only stitch from the outside in. Generally, a back loop only will be made from the inside out. And let me get to the end so I can show you what effect this placement will have on the stitch. Great, and then chain one, because it's a single crochet, and turn. Now what we get with this is it creates kind of like a triangle shape where it is definitely ridged, more pronounced, which is really cool. So in this case, with the next row, what we will do is continue making a single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch. Again, finding that V, inserting crochet hook, middle of V, only picking up that back loop only. And what happens is it creates like a crinkle effect. Let me get to the end here to show you. Great. Move that out of the way. And so you get that wave, kind of pronounced crinkle. Now I did make a swatch version of a back loop only example. It looks like this, and you can really see those ridges. People often use this particular stitch for making cuffs of gloves or sweaters. They also use them on blankets or anywhere that you want your material to stretch. What is great about this is it does create kind of a stretchy, elastic effect to your stitches, which is really neat. All right, and then when it comes to the diagram and the symbol, this is the symbol for a back loop only single crochet stitch. And you will see how it has changed that regular single crochet stitch and looks a little bit different. In the example of working between stitches for your placement of stitches, I decided to show the example using double crochet stitches because they're a little bit taller and it'll be easier to show you what is going on with this particular example. Now, when we are working stitches between stitches, we are not placing our stitches inside of the stitch space that is on top of the stitch. So generally, I would be making a stitch in this spot right here. See all the designated kind of holes that I would use to input my crochet hook? What I will be doing instead is placing my crochet hook between the previous row's stitches. So I will yarn over, insert my crochet hook between these two stitches, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two for that double crochet stitch. And that stitch is now between the two stitches below. Again, not placing a stitch on top of the stitch. In fact, I'm going to find the two stitches below and insert my crochet hook between those two stitches, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through two, yarn over, pull through two. And then you keep going, working your stitches between stitches. Now this is a different concept because it does take a regular basic crochet stitch and changes the appearance of how that stitch lays. So let me go ahead and show you here, working the whole row, how I have worked every stitch between stitches from the row below. I have made a swatch example also here that you can see, where you can really see the intertwining that is happening, and it feels more like, instead of the stitches building upon each other, that they are more intertwined and woven into each other, which feels more connected in a way. Just changing the look. Again, it's more so of the placement of the stitch opposed to changing the actual stitch itself and how that affects the appearance of the actual stitch. The last stitch placement that I wanted to talk about was in regards to where to put a stitch around a chain. Now, there's actually two different ways that you can approach this, and it can be personal preference, or it is possible that there could be a rhyme and reason to working a particular method opposed to another. So let's go ahead and work one row of chains. So I'm going to single crochet in the first stitch. I'm going to chain one, skip the next stitch space, single crochet in the next stitch space, and then I'm going to chain two, one, two, skip two stitch spaces, one, two, single crochet in the next, and last I'm going to chain three, one, two, three, skip three stitches, one, two, three, and single crochet in the last. And that will set us up for some good examples. So chain one, turning our work. We will single crochet on top of the single crochet stitch. But when it comes to the chains, the first way I'm going to show you is single crocheting over the chain. So I have 3 chains here, so I want to make 3 stitches over them. So I'm going to go over the chain, through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then single crochet in the single crochet space. Next, I have 2 chains, so I'm going to single crochet twice over those chains, or make 2 stitches over that chain. So 1, 2, and then single crochet in the single crochet space. And then lastly, I only had 1 chain here, so I'm just going to single crochet once around and over that chain, and single crochet in the last stitch space. And when I do that, this is what it appears like. All right. And by crocheting over the chain, you are protecting the chain, and it adds a lot more durability to the actual space you've created here. All right, let me show you the second way. So single crochet, turn. I'm gonna make the exact same chain 1 spaces, and then chain 2, skip 2, single crochet, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3, single crochet. So it's the exact same thing we did earlier. In this method, I'm going to actually work in the chain itself. So I'm going to single crochet on top of the single crochet, and then I'm going to make a single crochet inside of each chain. So 1, 2, 3, single crochet on top of single crochet, then 2 chains here. So 1, 2, single crochet on top of single crochet, and then 1 chain and single crochet on top of single crochet. And look at how different the two methods are. When you crochet over the chain, it has this appearance down here. When you crochet into the chain, it has this appearance right there. A lot of times it will not be specified where they want you to make the stitch around a chain, either around the chain itself or in the chain section. So you can decipher now which one you think looks better. All right. Now, when it comes to making long extended chains, we will see this when making pockets. We will see this when making buttonholes. We will see this when making any sort of opening, like a handle for a tote bag. That is definitely one option there. But are you going to make your next row after you chain over the stitch, the chains, or are you going to make it into the chains? That's going to be completely up to you. But I wanted to show you the two different ways to work your stitches in a chain. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video where I showed you all the different places that you can place a crochet stitch. Let's keep these videos rolling. Go on to video number 3 of my Crochet Basic Series, Basic Stitches, where I show you how to manipulate a stitch. And this is interesting.